not?
I don't know.
Because you use language to describe Son comes from the Father. In your creed, the Son proceeds from the Father. Okay, in your Orthodox belief in Christendom,
Jesus was sent from the Father.
Is the Logos?
He's eternal. Jesus said he was eternal. He said, before Abraham was, I am. He's eternal.
Does the Father proceed from the Logos, or the Logos proceed from the Son, from the Father? Sorry.
Both, it says, were in the beginning. The Logos, it says, was in the beginning.
I'm asking you this question about your creed. I want to see how much you are going to explain to me your belief. In your belief, do you have this faith that the Father and the Son, the relationship is that the Son proceeds, the Logos proceeds from the Father, or the Father proceeds from the Son, from the Logos?
The Son only proceeded from the Father in the sense that the Son was sent by the Father
before the universe was created. Before the universe was created.
It says they're eternal, I told you. It says in the beginning is the Logos, and the Word. And the Word was with God, and the Word was God.
Which beginning?
In the beginning.
Which beginning?
Well,
you have a problem now. You have now brought in our table a discussion which is very interesting. In the beginning. Eternity has no beginning. But you're now saying there was a beginning. Which beginning? So now you have a beginning of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit?
Well, in the beginning, when time was brought into the world, if you like, when time started.
But did the Father and Son exist before time?
Yes.
Right. So why do you say in the beginning?
They're outside of time, because there was a beginning for this world.
Did the Son have a beginning?
No.
Good.
The Son is
so
eternal.
Before the universe was created, was the Son proceeding eternally from the Father?
Yes.
Was the Father proceeding eternally from the Son?
If I was to put that to you, you would not say it's a parable.
Both were together.
That's not my question. Was the Father proceeding eternally from the Son or from the Holy Spirit?
I don't know what you mean by that question.
You said the Son proceeded eternally from the Father.
I said only in the sense.
You understood that?
Only in the sense that the Son came to earth.
Before he came to earth,
okay. By the Father to the earth.
Before
so he was
earth
sent
was sent
from a world of eternity to a world of time.
We need to understand it one step ahead. Before the universe was created, before the earth was created, did the Son proceed from the Father?
Before the world was created? No, they were both eternal.
So the Son and the Father was pre-existing side by side without a beginning.
Yeah.
And then the Son proceeded from the Father, meaning what?
The Father sent the Son to earth.
Is this what you Christians believe?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Son had no beginning, and the Father has no beginning. Okay?
Yeah.
Is the Son dependent on the Father or independent of him?
He's one. One with the Father.
I'm speaking not
one with the Father.
Chinese. I'm speaking English.
No, English.
In which I am asking you this question.
Sometimes it's difficult.
The question is
about
human
beings living within time to get our heads around this.
My question is different.
We are going to move into eternity.
No,
we're at the moment living in a finite world, but when we die, we move from a finite world into an eternal world. We're not going to live for a period of time in heaven. We're going to live eternally.
Let's try to understand the subject we're discussing.
Well, I am.
Are we dependent on air and food for our living, for our life?
While we're here.
No, you and I, are we dependent on food and water and air, right? We are dependent, clearly. We are not independent.
Yeah.
Good. The Son, the Logos, not this Son, yeah? The God, the Son in your belief, is he dependent for his existence, his life, on the Father, or is he independent?
Listen, my friend. Greek, yes? We read from Greek here. Believe that I am in the Father, and the Father in me is. The words that I speak to you, from myself not, I speak, but Father in me dwelling does the work of him. What does it mean?
What is the question you're answering?
Yes, why are you talking about?
No, just out of interest, so that, you know.
It's one. That's why I'm saying.
No, what question are you
Jesus is one with the Father.
My friend, I have a question.
So the one that was speaking through Jesus was the Father.
Listen. Blue and 23%.
That's your problem.
Why did I say blue and 23%? Did you ask me a question about it?
I didn't have to ask you a question about it. I answered your question.
No, I
because
answered.
you said, you know.
Listen.
That the Father wasn't one with the Son.
Listen. I answered.
Vice versa.
I answered blue and 23%. What question did I answer?
Yes, you're trying to make
now,
out.
Sit.
He's answered something you didn't ask.
Listen.
In Greek. Yes, so you don't have to. You cannot deny it anymore.
In Greek. Now, can you answer the question that I'm going to ask you now? Is the Logos, the God the Son in your belief, dependent on the Father or independent of Him? In Greek, please. Both of them.
Okay, well, the answer is they're both codependent. They're both dependent on each other.
My question now is about before the universe ever began to exist. So I'm talking about at that state of God in your belief.
Well, they were working in total harmony.
That's not my question. Was the Son dependent on the Father or independent?
They're both codependent.
They were one man. You don't understand this. You don't know how to explain it.
I'm sorry, you don't understand English here in this discussion, so we can't have that conversation.
One and the same.
With you.
No, it's
remember.
I do understand English, Greek.
I don't think you understand English.
Even
Maybe
Arab.
understand. تتكلم عربي. اوكي تتكلم عربي معي. تعال هنا تعال هنا. تتكلم عربي نحن نتكلم بالعربية. تعال. Claims and then. Okay? Never mind. Now sit.
The conversation is not going anywhere, Mansur.
Sit. You said you are dependent on water, earth, and food. Right? This is what you said. You understand what dependency means. Right? You understand that? Good. If you believe the Son and the Father both were eternal with no beginning, do you know what that means? Eternal with no beginning?
Yeah, it means that they existed outside of time.
It means they existed by themselves. Eternal means no beginning. So the Son had no beginning. Do you know what no beginning means?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
It means they've always existed.
No beginning means who brought the Son into existence.
Well,
when you say the Son has no beginning, it means
this is the whole point about God.
No,
you see, we believe God is somebody who didn't need somebody else to bring him into existence. That's why we say, in the beginning, God. Because, you see, the trouble is, we're human beings. So you're talking about, we're living in a finite world. And in our finite world, everybody who is born is dependent on somebody else to bring them into the world. God is the one being who did not need anybody else to bring him into existence. He is eternal and has always existed. That's what we believe.
It's not difficult to understand. Imagine I said, I have no beginning of my existence. That means I am living forever with no beginning, right?
Yes.
If I have no beginning of existence, it automatically means no one brought me into existence.
Yes.
Good. So if Jesus is eternal, it means no one brought Jesus into existence.
Yes, that's correct.
Good. So Jesus, his life is totally independent of anyone for his own existence. Independent of the Father, because he is always in existence. So he doesn't need the Father for him to exist. That's what you are telling me. So now you have a being or a person called Jesus who is independent of the Father for his own life.
I'm not saying that, you're saying that.
So is he dependent?
Well, what I've said is that they were eternally codependent. In other words, eternally, they've always been dependent on each other, Father, Son and Holy Spirit.
Let's understand one thing. How can you be dependent on someone when you have no beginning of existence? When did that happen? When did dependence happen?
Because you live your life eternally.
But there's no beginning. There's
with that person.
No, if you have no beginning at all, you cannot be dependent on someone when you have no beginning. The dependency comes later if you're going to be dependent. If Jesus is eternal, he must be independent. And if he's independent, then he must be one God by himself.
Unless he was eternally codependent.
No, it makes no sense.
It does make sense.
You know what codependent means?
It makes sense to me.
Okay, you know what codependence means?
Yeah, it means that It means that I am dependent on the needs that you have.
So the Father is dependent on the Son for the Father's life and existence. The Son is dependent on the Father for his life and existence. Does it make any sense?
And the Son, yeah.
So the Father, for his own life,
They've been eternally
for his
dependent
own
on
life,
each other.
the Father, he needs to depend on someone for his own life.
And I'll tell you the key aspect to this.
Wait,
The
before
key
you go to
aspect,
key,
the key
understand
aspect
what
to
you're
this is love. You see, because actually, Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, in a perfect relationship of love one to another, which Jesus says, the Father loves the Son and has given all things into his hand. The Son loves the Father, so on and so forth. You see, your concept of God, which is Allah on his own, see, how can Allah be loving if Allah is on his own? He's got no one to love. Until perhaps he then creates beings, which he then loves what he's created. Until he's created something, there's no concept, if you're entirely on your own, of loving somebody else.
are you consistent?
Yeah, the concept we have of God is
Are you
a
consistent?
perfectly loving being.
Okay. Are you consistent in your belief?
Yeah.
Good. Do you believe creation existed eternally with God?
No.
Right. So at one point, creation did not exist.
Yeah.
Was God the creator then?
Yes, God created the world.
No, before he created the world, was he the creator?
Before he created the world, was he the creator? Well, obviously the seed of creation was within him, so within him was the potential and ability to create.
Be consistent. There is no creation, so was he the creator? Okay. God is a vengeful, wrathful God according to the Old Testament. He shows his wrath. Was he? Who was he?
God is a holy God.
Excuse me. According to the Old Testament, God is a God of war. God is vengeful. God is wrathful. He shows his wrath. He destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. You haven't read your Bible? Then you have. Good.
But
So
the reason is not irrational anger.
Excuse me, please.
The reason is God is holy
Sid.
and God cannot stand sin.
Sid, is God forgiving?
He forgives those who repent.
Before
He
God,
doesn't just forgive everyone.
listen, Sid. Before God created anyone, who was he forgiving?
Before he created anyone. Well, Satan existed at one time in heaven.
Before Satan was created,
Satan fell from
before Satan was created, before anything was created by God, who was he forgiving?
At that time, he wasn't
The
forgiving
Son.
anyone.
Was he forgiving the Son?
No.
So was he forgiving in his nature? Or did you acquire a new nature later?
Well, he had in his being the potential
Now,
to forgive.
so now you have a God who became forgiving later. See the inconsistency in your argument? You cannot accept in Islamic concept God can be loving before anything to show love to. And yet, you give your God forgiving character